Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inspired Messenger Show. I am your host, Mark Porteous, and I believe that we all choose this life for a reason. Aligning with your soul purpose is the most exciting and rewarding adventure imaginable. And this show is really designed to inspire, educate, and motivate you to recognize and share your own divine gifts with the world. We share information, resources, and action steps that you can take now to improve your personal and professional life so you can better fulfill your mission. And you can watch previous episodes and find out other helpful resources to support your journey at theinspiredmessengersnetwork.com. I'm so very blessed to work with amazing mentors and teachers who are aligned with my vision to empower inspired messengers and soul-driven entrepreneurs with the tools and support they need to thrive in their purpose of transforming lives. It's a great honor for me to introduce my mentors and colleagues to you so that we can all benefit from their wisdom and sharing. And again, you can catch us on the Inspired Messenger Show live every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'd love to have you like our Facebook page, the Inspired Messengers Network. And next week, we're going to have Rachel Arkalis of the Intuitive Art Academy, where you'll learn to have two-way conversations with your higher self using intuitive art. And today's topic is the what, why, and how of emotional intelligence, or EQ. And this is the answer to all our problems really live within us. And I believe that self-discovery is the key. The more that you know about yourself, the better you are at serving others. And today's guest, my good friend Andrea Isaacs, is an emotional intelligence expert. And she works with conscious business leaders whose companies are growing or changing and are overwhelmed with the abundance of ideas, burdened because they're unable to ask for what they need, and can't find the time for their personal relationships to have emotional mastery so they can focus, honor their needs, and open their hearts so they can turn their chaos into ease and joy, and their business can soar to new heights. So if you have a dream, if you want something different in your life or business, it means that change has to happen. And many people think that change is difficult, and sometimes that's true. But when change is difficult, a step is missing. And Andrea Isaacs created the EQ quiz to find out what that is. Hello, Andrea. Welcome.
Hi, Mark. It's great to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. We've been working on this and talking about this for a long time, and it's nice to just be present in the moment with you.
I agree. I was really moved by one of the things you said in your intro about aligning with your soul's purpose. And, I think that was one of the worst times in my life when, as a young adult, I didn't know what that was. And finding our soul's purpose, for me and for many of us, is so crucial to really having a life, a rewarding, rich life that we really want to have. And yet there can be so many challenges towards manifesting that. It's kind of a paradox, isn't it?
It absolutely is. The whole chicken and the egg thing. And I know we can be chasing our tails for a long time trying to figure out what that is and
how to do it.
Yeah, and how to do it, exactly. Well, I'm thrilled that to feature you as our first guest of this new season on the Inspired Messenger Show. It's hard to believe that it's just been under a year now since you and I first met. It was one of those serendipitous connections at a big 3-day networking event conference. And I was really fascinated by your work with Enneagrams before I even really understood what it was. And recently I had a session with you where you shared your incredible visual tool to actually see the emotional intelligence expressed on a very unique circular graph. And maybe we'll get to talk a little bit about that part, but I know that we have a lot to cover, and just the idea of what emotional intelligence is, I think is a good starting point. And then also I want to mention that you do have a wonderful gift that we'll talk about for everyone to download. And I want everyone to know a lot more about what that is and that process. So we'll speak on that. I think it'll really help to give some content first. So I was wondering if maybe you could start by telling us what is emotional intelligence and how did it become your passion?
Well, I want to start by saying I have this tendency, I want to talk 10 times as fast so we can fit it all in. And I promise you I won't do that because I like when people also understand what I'm saying. I used to be able to do that. So yes, what is emotional intelligence? First I want to say I'm so delighted that it's becoming a more common term. There's been a lot written about it now, and there are a lot of definitions. And I'll just sort of briefly address the more standard definition and then add my own little tweak to it.
Okay.
So traditionally, and I certainly agree with this, a part of emotional intelligence is knowing and understanding and managing your own emotions, knowing and accepting someone else's. And then, of course, we have these interactions with people that push our buttons, and it's being able to manage how we react. So that's a great definition. But another, I think, easier sort of layperson's way to say all of that is to answer the question, well, who's the me I want to be, especially when I'm challenged? And how I respond when I'm challenged has a lot to do with how much emotional intelligence someone has. So in other words, instead of saying, well, when you raise your voice, I just withdraw. That's just who I am. That's maybe understanding yourself, but it's not really managing your reactivity in a way that best serves. Here's the other part of the definition I like to include. How do you respond when you're challenged in a way that best serves your best and highest self, the best and highest of the other people involved, and the best and highest of that moment? So in other words, if say you or someone raises your voice at me and my tendency, my old pattern, my habit is to withdraw, that might be understanding me, but it's not serving my best and highest. It's not serving the best and highest of the conversation we could have had, or what you're asking me, or what the situation requires. And what's difficult is it often means responding in a way that's outside our comfort zone. Because a tendency is to always be and do and react the way we always did. And that doesn't always serve our best and highest. So in my thinking, what's missing, and the missing step, is creating a neural pathway, which is just a pathway from our brains to how we think, feel, and act. Creating a neural pathway for a different way of responding. And when we don't have that neural pathway, it's really hard to behave in a different way. So my work is very experiential. It's all about embodying a whole range of emotion, so that when we're challenged, we have neural pathways that used to be outside our comfort zone. And now, instead of the shy me withdrawing when I'm hurt or upset, I have the neural pathway for staying present and just speaking up or addressing the question in a way that allows for and invites conversation instead of yelling or screaming, raising my voice or crying or, anything else that's not really productive and effective. I love the idea of inviting a conversation when we get triggered.
Mm.
So that's part of how I would define emotional intelligence.
I like that, and I love the idea about being able to change the neural pathways, because it does seem like sometimes, well, that's just how I do things, but we can find that there's a new, like you said, a higher, something that serves our higher purpose better and serves the relationship. And that's another big thing that you talk about. There's one thing to understand your own emotional intelligence, but when you start combining that with interacting with other people, how you manage that interaction is critical.
Yeah, and I have a lot of when I look at the EQ quiz results and I see the, as you mentioned, the way the results are illustrated in the graphic is kind of unusual. And the way I look at it, I can see what someone's challenges are. And I have so much compassion for the pain they've been in and the struggles they've had, because I see them, and those neural pathways, I can see the neural pathways that are really strong. And again, that's why change is hard. And it's so exciting to talk to people and acknowledge, I see the struggle that you've had about X, Y, and Z, and hey, this is what you can do about it.
I love it. And so how did you get on this path yourself to, and I don't know how closely related Enneagrams are to emotional intelligence, if they're completely separate things, but I know that even people who are experts in this field have talked to you and said, wow, you have a really new perspective on it, and especially with your process.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Well, I'll just say a sentence about what led me to this path. As a young person, I was very emotional, and I had my reactivity was to withdraw, and I didn't like it. I hated it. Fast forward many years, I was a modern dancer, choreographer, artistic director, and so on. And I liked to choreograph dances about emotion. So I'm used to finding a way to express emotions through the body. So that was my background when I came across this personality system called the Enneagram. And as an experiential learner, as someone who really learns through my body, I was sitting on a chair for 12 hours a day for a week. And I remember thinking, oh, if only I could do the types. So my background is that I created a system for using movement to embody the gifts of each type. And over time, I learned that my work was not only helping us embody the gifts of each type, But if we had a challenging emotion that we didn't like, there was a way of using the same system to transform struggle to ease, or to transform anger to curiosity, or shyness to confidence, for example. So that was my background. And then this EQ quiz just sort of burst forth from me. I think I needed to define a couple of terms first, just so people can understand when I use them. So I work a lot with mantras and mudras. These are both Sanskrit terms, and they both have the intention to bring on a particular inner feeling, an energy, so to speak. A mantra is a word or phrase. A common mantra is Om. It can be any word or phrase that captures how you want to feel. And a mudra traditionally could be a prayer or meditation position, and again, supports the intention of the mantra. And I take a lot of creative license with both. So in my teaching, I was guiding people to create their own mantras and mudras for the different Enneagram types. And they could custom design a mantra that captured what the type is known for. Like say for type 8, I hold my ground and speak my voice. If you're not an 8, it might be something that people want to cultivate. So using that mantra and a mudra that captures that energy in the body creates that neural pathway. Now, if you are an 8, you already have that. You don't need to cultivate it anymore. So I have 2 mantras and mudras for each type. The one that the 8 in us most needs might be something like, I speak gently from my heart. And it softens the energy. So if I'm angry, I can remember to maybe, or I hold my ground gently. I can remember that. If I say the words quietly in my mind, the brain energizes that neural pathway, and it affects how I speak, especially, it's useful when I'm angry. So that was my background before creating the quiz. So I had these 18 mantras and mudras, and I started demonstrating them when I was teaching my longer program, so people would have a sense of where they were going. And I saw people taking notes like crazy, and I thought, why are you writing that down? You're going to create your own. And the next program they kept writing it down, and I thought, why are they doing that? And I finally got it. This is a thing. So I kind of excerpted it from that program, and I transplanted it over here and let it birth forth. And I realized a lot of things, and I'll just kind of jump to the chase here. It became the foundation of my EQ quiz. So the EQ quiz, at a glance, tells me your strengths and gifts based on the Enneagram types, and tells me why you love what you love, why you do what you do, why you have the passions you have, and also based, again, on the Enneagram, looking at the pie chart that tells me all, how you score yourself. I can tell you all the potential challenges that will give you struggle in manifesting your dreams. And then because of how I work, I can also help you deal with those challenges so that you can manifest your dreams with ease. So my test, and this is why people who already know the Enneagram really well, and they know their type and all of that, it gives them so much more insight, because it's how this type is related to this, and the strength of this and the challenge of that is a double whammy here, or no wonder you're good at this because of this. It all comes together. It's all interwoven. And it's not just about your type. It's about making your dreams come true with ease.
Well, it's interesting, because my next question is, why would someone want to increase their emotional intelligence? But I think you already answered that question. Maybe you can elaborate.
Yeah, well, let's see. So the why is, I believe that for many of us, most of us, there are challenges here and there. It could be in a relationship, it could be at work, it could be a life situation, it could be a diagnosis or something happening with your house. You suddenly have to renovate and you didn't expect. It could be a number of things that could cause challenges. And I believe how we deal with challenges in life have so much to do with our happiness and our ability to connect with people and really have the life we want. And so I see emotional intelligence and the more we have of it, the more easily we can deal with those challenges. It could be challenging people or life situations. Having emotional intelligence, and that means having a combination of emotional range and emotional flexibility. So in other words, not always being the way I was, not always responding the way I always did. It's having the flexibility and the range to respond differently when we're challenged. And what that means, the result of that, when you have that, is our relationships are just easier. Because when we have a confrontation, we talk about it. We get to know each other better. It deepens the bond, the connection. It could be with a loved one. It could be with your team. People on the team start to understand each other better. And it creates more motivation, more engagement, and more productivity because of that. The more people we have in our lives, the more potential there is for challenge. And then just being in life, we never know what's around the next bend. Maybe it's even a speeding ticket and it ruins our day. Having emotional intelligence just gives us, I believe, more ease, peace, and joy in our lives, and gives us, it's easier to manifest the life we want when we have it.
Well, I think ease, peace, and joy are three fantastic reasons to want to increase our emotional intelligence. Now and then, maybe we could talk about how you can have more of it.
Well, that's really the foundation of my work. It's the how. So my approach to the Enneagram is not just talking about it. I present the system and the people know what, they understand what it is, but it's more about you're having the experience of it. You're embodying it, stepping into the shoes of the energy of each type. One of the programs I did, I've been doing this for over 20 years now, so I've had a lot of experience. And there was one time early on where a company asked me to only do the healthy attributes of each type. So when I usually, not just usually, like always now, we explore each type when they're healthy. And so we experience their gifts and what they are when they're in their essence and in flow with life. We also explore them when they're on automatic pilot and not as conscious. And that means that we kind of get into our behavior, our reactive behaviors, and we're not our best self. And then we explore the energy of each type when they're in their dark side. And we've all had some of those moments when we're not our best selves. We get reactive and whatever our flavor is, it could be withdrawing or raising our voices or longing and envy and criticism and pride and so on. So we explore the whole range. And there's a lot to be said for why. All of it is part of human nature. And if we neglect the dark side, there's a part of us that can still either be afraid of it or we don't manage it well when it comes up. Because if we don't step into it, we're disallowing it, we're disowning it, and we throw it into our shadow. And we may do things like, I'm not angry, and yet we know inside we're boiling with rage, for instance. Or, somehow that shadow leaks and it comes out anyway. So by stepping into that energy, we learn that we can manage it instead of it managing us. So we do the whole bit. And also after being in the dark side, being in the dark shadow, when we come out of it, there's a greater motivation for wanting to really embody the healthy side, and how we want it also morphs a bit. So in this one program I started to mention many years ago, like 20 some years ago, they wanted me just to do the healthy side. And first I just said, no, I can't do that. And they said, yes. I said, no. I said, anyway, I finally relented. And it was probably the least impactful program I ever did. Because I think there's value in life is a combination. Is how do we hold both? I'm confident and I'm shy. How do I live with both? If I don't learn how to manage my shyness, I can't really be confident. Life really, I believe, is about balancing the opposites, balancing the polarities. So the how is by stepping into the shoes, for instance, and for starters, of each of the Enneagram types, when they're healthy and when they're in their dark side. And as we do that, you are expanding your emotional range, your capacity. You can embody the qualities of the perfectionist, the nurturer, the achiever, the artist, and so on around the circle. You can embody all of their gifts. And the emotional flexibility is because we are stepping in and out of so many different emotions, including the dark side. We start to learn that, that dark side doesn't have to own me. I have a choice. Oh, right. I know I can also be and do and think and feel this way because I develop that flexibility muscle in the exercises. So then in my real life, when I get trapped in one of those darker emotions, not trapped, but when I have the moment where I feel it wanting to arise, I could recognize it. Now I have the range and I've learned how to be flexible with how I respond. And now I'm able to shift my emotions from struggle to ease.
It's so beautiful and so powerful. I can totally relate and resonate with the idea about wanting just to focus on the positive. That's been kind of a natural instinct for me. It's like, oh, let's keep it positive. But you mentioned two different possibilities that can happen when you do that, and one of those is suppressing what you're feeling, and it's still popping up all the time. So you're not really addressing it by neglecting it. And the other thing is that it can erupt and it can really control you. So that's something I've been working on a lot over the last several years is being able to look at all of me. And like you said, even what you call the dark side, it has a lot of value. And being able to know how to channel that energy and knowing that that is a part of us, so that when we react or respond to somebody else, that we can have a much better outcome when we understand why we're reacting that way.
I love that you said you want to look at all of me, and we all need to do that. And we all have shadow sides that we're not as happy about or as proud of. And this, you talked about erupting. For those people, and I have been this too, who don't want to express our anger because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings, we don't want to alienate someone, or we don't want to be seen as an angry person. We can hold it in, and we could say, no, I'm not going to say that. But if we don't address it, probably it's going to happen again because the person doesn't know that it was hurtful. So we hold it in, we don't want to be angry. And then it happens again. And then we hold it in because we don't want to be seen as an angry, I'm not an angry person. And we can only take so much of that until, maybe we're having a bad day and someone does it again. It's like, I can't take it anymore. And then we blow up, right? So that's not responding in a way that reflects our best and highest, right?
Exactly.
And so, I don't think anything is wrong with anger. I think anger has a bad rap. What can be wrong with anger is how we express it. And I think it's, and there are two flavors of that. And if I could just narrow it down to something really simple, one part is really over expressing it, and the other part is really under expressing it. And there is something in between. So part of emotional intelligence, I think, is finding that middle ground where we're not doing either.
Yeah, you talked about the control knob and finding, kind of like if you look and think about an audio of your bass, you can turn the bass way up, or you can turn it down, or you can find some spot in the middle.
And and part of learning how to do that is, and this is about stepping into the shadow that many of us don't like because we don't like the energy. But when we step into the shadow, especially in a ritual container where there are no real life consequences, we learn, it's just energy. Oh, I can feel, I can experience that energy, and my body's not going to explode. I won't explode. In fact, hey, nothing bad's going to happen. So there's something about the willingness to step into that dark shadow, again, in that ritual container. I'm not telling people to go out in life and do that with people, to yell and explode or whatever the shadow is for you. But in that ritual container, to have the willingness to step in the energy is huge for not being afraid of it and for being able to control it. Because we don't learn how to manage that energy unless we get to practice.
Yep, and you just hit on one of the key words of fear. And you can keep a snake in a jar, but when you are in an aquarium, but when you're near it, it still triggers you. And if it's in that, like you said, that safe container, it's a much more comfortable place for you to address your fears. And if they stay inside of you, then they fester and they grow, and all kinds of unhealthy issues can come from it. So this sounds like a very, very healthy approach. I'm wondering if you could share kind of some examples about making it easy, because that was one of the key pieces that you shared, is that it doesn't have to be difficult.
Well, I want to combine this with the EQ quiz. So I've had, since I released the quiz just not very long ago, I've had about 150 people take the quiz now. And statistically, it's not a lot, but it's a great start. I just announced it once, so it's a great start. And I've had about 65 or 70 like hour and a half conversations with people about it. What I'm hearing consistently from leaders are the three main points that you actually mentioned in the intro. So I'm going to tie that together with ease. So one not uncommon thing I hear from conscious leaders is they have an abundance of great ideas. And no wonder that they're leaders because of that. However, the challenge for them is they have so many ideas that either their team can't keep up with them because yesterday's idea is old. I have an even better idea today. Or they have so many, they're just not sure which to focus on, and they get scattered. So the outcome can be that they're not going as deep, and they're not being as productive as they could be. So in that case, we'll do exercises that could be a combination or one or the other, depending on their personality, of either learning how to focus and just shifting their energy. So instead of being all over with, we translate that into movement. Instead of being all over, they stop and they focus. And there could be a fear in that, because the fear could be there's something even better over there. No, stop and focus. And so there are other processes that we'll go into about the fear, about what if something better comes up. But to learn how to embody what that is, to stop and realize you won't miss out on anything. There's this, what is here right now is perfect. And so we'll do a process like that. And then they focus, they give the instructions to the direction to the team, and everybody's on board and things get done. Another example is, let's see, we mentioned the focus and, This is not uncommon with powerful leaders. They're used to doing so much on their own. They're used to doing things themselves. And it takes time, of course, to teach someone else how to do things. And then they're always taking care of other people. They forget that they can ask for help, or there's a fear of their vulnerability. If I ask for help, you'll think that I'm not strong and powerful. You'll think I'm needy. I don't want that. And yet they crave it. They need it. There's a longing for it. And it's also related to how we are in our relationships. Because when we have the vulnerability and we're afraid to ask for help, we're not able to receive not just help and support, but love. We may be loving and helping and supporting others, but life has reciprocity. When life is going well, there is reciprocity. And yet if we're not able to ask for what we want or need, we're not part of that reciprocity. And that's against the nature of life, I believe. So I'll work with leaders, and I'll have them feel that shell, the shield around their hearts, really, and realizing it's safe, and that when it is safe, and when it is safe, that you can open up and ask for what you need. So many people, and leaders in particular, know what other people need. They know what the situation needs. They expect other people know that about them. And it's not true. We don't all have that kind of lens through which we see people or the world. And so we have to learn it's not only okay to have needs, but I can have my own, and I'm still strong and powerful. In fact, it's more powerful because it's a gift to others to let them know what we need so they can be there for us. People like doing that. And so in a way, it makes us even stronger to express what we want and what we need.
This is a huge topic for me. You actually just did a session with me, and we talked about this, and I don't know which personality type it is, but you were saying, being really strong at knowing what other people need without having to do a lot of inquiry. Yeah. I can kind of am intuitive about that. So I just assume that people are intuitive about what I need. And that has been a challenge for me, being able to verbalize and to make the ask. That was one of the things I wrote down in my notes, was being real clear on making a request. And in my life and all that's happening in my life right now, the challenges with family health issues and everything, being able to ask for help is more critical now than ever, and being open to receive that help. And certainly I can relate to the whole thing about being vulnerable. And boy, what a relief it is to be able to be vulnerable and to share. It's very empowering. I really did. I had all those fears that you mentioned about, well, what are people going to think of me? And I'm supposed to be there to be strong and optimistic all the time. And so, yeah, I can really relate to that, and I can see how many others would too.
I was going to ask you how it's going, but in listening to you, I was feeling how it's going, that you are doing it and it's happening and that it's going well. I was feeling just a lot of tenderness in listening to you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and one of the things that you said was a big part of it, that there's one, getting past the what will people think about me, and then getting into the I'm actually being of service and keeping that cycle of reciprocity alive. Like you're talking about, it's kind of like a battery. If you're always on positive and never receiving to recharge that battery, one, you're going to kill your own battery, but two, it's just it takes away from somebody else. We all know the gift of giving and how good it is to give. Well, you're robbing somebody of that gift if you don't receive.
You're so right. It's so important. There's reciprocity in life, and it's something that I'm really stepping into more now than ever as well. And I think part of it is I'm telling other people to do that, and I realize, oh my God, how receptive am I, right? Mm-hmm. And so whenever I have the opportunity, and we can also do it, it's almost like a visual. If we imagine there's like a doorway in our heart chakra, there's a point on our chest where there's a sternum, it's like a flat bone in the middle of our chest. That point represents our heart center. And if we imagine like a doorway there, just simply opening. And as we do that, not only are we able to give more, but if we can just be and feel that opening, it allows for the receptivity to enter. And some people are afraid it's not safe. And so I would just suggest that, trust that when it is safe. It's very likely there was a time in one's life that it wasn't safe to be open and receptive. Something bad might have happened. So there's a lot of truth to that. But if we have that pattern that's really strong and we never do that, then we'll just live our lives with a closed heart and never receive. And if that's not the life you want, then trust that you know when it is safe. So just ask yourself, do I feel safe right now? And if the answer is yes, then just, crack that door open a bit. And then check in again, do I feel safe now? If the answer is yes, crack it open a little more. If the answer is no, either just stay there or go ahead and close it again. And that's okay. Again, without judgment, but just to practice one and then the other. And I think I might have mentioned to you when we talked, Mark, and I suggest this to others who are listening. If it's new for you, practice in small ways, asking for a little thing. As we practice in small ways and we realize, no, nothing bad happened, then we can practice in a bigger way.
It's funny because I am doing something similar to that, where it's not even outwardly, it's inwardly. Nobody even knows what the ask is, but just for myself, being able to write down what my needs are has really opened up to being able to receive. And sometimes just it manifests. The universe says, oh, okay, that's what you need. You don't even have to ask for it. You've put it out there. And then other times I do have to make those small requests, whatever they are. So it's definitely been expanding very quickly through your process, and I appreciate it.
Beautiful. Well, it was very clever to write it down first, and I hope that someone would hear it out there. You hearing me?
Well, it's funny because a lot of times what I'm going through in my own growth process, I am able to take to my clients, and I've had 2 different clients now with the same thing, where they weren't clear about what it was that they wanted. So they were really, couldn't understand why when they were in front of a potential client, they weren't able to express it, or a potential partner. And so, yeah, just being real clear for ourselves of what we need, I think is a really important start.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're going to run out of time soon, Mark. Can I talk about the free gift?
I'm excited about that. Yes. Let's do it.
So this is, I changed it since we talked last, because I wanted you all to have something that was really easy to use, easy to embody, and that you would just get right away. So it's 3 steps from struggle to ease. And I'll just give a brief synopsis of what it is. And then if they go get the gift, I'll read more about it. So if you feel, as soon as you notice emotional reactivity, you could be in the middle of it. It could be something you anticipate might happen because something might be challenging. Notice the reactivity. Step 1 is just to notice what's going on in your body when you get reactive. So for instance, if you're angry, maybe you feel like your guts are boiling and your energy is like big, and you feel like you want to just punch someone's eyes out. Of course you wouldn't, but maybe there's the desire to strike out, and the energy again is explosive. So feel that in your body. And the more you get out of your chair and you actually experience that energy you don't like, the more powerful the turnaround will be. That's step 1. Step 2 is ask yourself the question. Actually ask your body this question. Don't answer with your thinking mind. Ask your body, what would my body rather feel? Well, as you're doing this, maybe striking or exploding energy, your body doesn't want that. So maybe the body wants peace and calm. So you might notice the energy soften. You might notice your breathing relaxing. So notice and allow that to shift until your body ends up in a position that feels like what it wants. And maybe it's a softness and a flow. And I like that the image I mentioned earlier. I hold my ground gently. I'm holding my ground gently. So I'm ending up in a body position that captures what my body prefers. And then step 3, actually, I kind of snuck ahead. Step 3 is to fill in the blank of this I statement. Feeling this energy in your body. What does it say about you and who you are? Finish this I statement. I am, or I fill in the blank. So I ended up in this soft, open, receptive, gentle position. And what does that energy say about me? I might anchor it by saying something like, I am gently here. That word, it changed a little bit. I just noticed my body. I am gently here. So I'm present. I'm not running away. I'm not yelling and screaming. So we anchor it. We anchor it twice. We anchor it in the body with the mudra, that body position. Oh, and now we come back to the mind. We anchor it in the mind with the mantra, I am gently here. And as I say that, I'm also feeling more receptive, so I can hear your side of the story as well. So those, in short, are the 3 steps. And you can find that the downloadable PDF at, it's a bit.ly link. So it starts out bit.ly/3, and that's just the number 3 steps, Mark. All lowercase. So again, it's bit.ly, bit.ly/3 steps, Mark. 3 steps, Mark. And we'll have it on the website, on the Facebook page, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and some people might be able to see it right below, depending on when you're watching this. We did have some technical glitch at the beginning, so we'll have to set up a new page. But if you're watching the replay, you may be able to go right below and just click the button to download it. Otherwise, use that link, and you'll have direct access.
Yeah. Hope you
Perfect.
go there, because I want ease, peace, and joy for all of us. I know we can manifest our dreams and have the life we want with ease, peace, and joy. I didn't used to think that, but I know it's true now.
And I think a lot of people are still under that programming that it can't be. So when you get these small tastes of ease, peace, and joy in your life, it makes you hungry for more. It's like an appetizer. So this gift that you're giving everybody, I think, will really whet their appetites for more ease, peace, and joy in their lives.
Great, maybe so.
So yeah, I know that we are at the end of our time. Thank you so much for sharing your gift and your experience and wisdom. And I'm wondering if there's any last words that you'd like to share.
Well, the last words really are, it's very simple. I want you to know that change can be easy. Now, you need the right tools. I think you have to create those new neural pathways, do those 3 steps, practice them, and then I know that change can be easy.
Beautiful. And if I know that when people download your gift, they'll be able to be part of your community. If somebody wants to find out more about you, do you want to give out your website or email address? How can people contact you?
Sure, thank you. My website is Andrea, Andrea, at Ennea, that's ENNEA, motion, MOTION.com. Andrea at EnneaMotion.com. I have a lot of articles. Check them out. There's a lot to read. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. And yeah, certainly one of the leading experts in this field. So I encourage everyone to connect with you, download your gift, start putting that into practice. Again, taking baby steps if you need to, if you're more advanced and taking on bigger and bigger challenges will definitely help you to expand and evolve. Yeah. Well, Andrea, I'm so grateful for you being on the show and just being in my life, being part of the Inspired Messengers Network. I do see you as one of the pioneering transformational agents on the planet right now that are really helping leaders to lead in a bigger way. And leadership doesn't always come at the helm of a corporation or a business. It can be leadership within your family, leadership within your community, or just personal leadership, the way that you lead yourself in life. And I thank you for the work that you're doing to create this ripple effect and world change.
Thank you, Mark. What an honor to be here with you.
Very grateful. Sending much love. And I want to thank you for listening, for watching. Obviously, here you are at the end of the interview. I'd love to hear what you took away from it. So again, if you're watching the replay and you want to post your comments right below, or if you want to email us, you can email info@inspiredmessengersnetwork.com or the team at inspiredmessengersnetwork.com, or just again, post right below. We really want to hear from you what your challenges are, and what your gifts are, what your message is. So we look forward to hearing from you, and I'm extremely grateful for you following or pursuing your passion and your purpose in life. The light in me respects and appreciates the light in you. Namaste.
Namaste.